So what you're saying, all I really got out of that is your car's an alcoholic and we're trying to send it to AA. Am I wrong?
You're wrong. It's a teetotaler and it keeps being fed alcohol.
Okay.
Well, today I'm going to be replacing a throttle position sensor on this Ford. It came to my attention on a recent trip, that I've been having some issues more related to heavy alcohol mix in the gas because of the gas shortage. And these old engines don't like it, the more alcohol mixed into it generally. But after I got some actually non-alcohol gas to make sure there was no problems, it came to my attention that once I got more than half to 2/3 throttle, it was bucking, which indicates that once they get to that point, the throttle, which is right here, the throttle position sensor, isn't giving good data to the computer for it to control the fuel air mix. And that's generally what you get. You'll either get a loss of power or you'll get bucking, and sometimes you'll get some sputtering, but it'll consistently happen at beyond a throttle position. So if you're pushing down on the throttle and it's running good until you get to halfway or 3/4 way or even less, that's generally going to be a throttle position sensor.
Okay. So what you're saying, all I really got out of that is your car's an alcoholic and we're trying to send it to AA. Am I wrong?
You're wrong. It's a teetotaler and it keeps being fed alcohol.
Okay. Car's not an alcoholic. All right.
But everything has alcohol in it.
Or is it like Edgar Allan Poe and it's really allergic to alcohol?
Which, it's not that old.
Just shy one or two
Now, if you
years.
have a carburetor and it's doing that, that's a whole different game. And that can be a number of other issues, but with it, you'll generally get more consistent on what it's doing. And like I said, you can't really diagnose it without looking at the problem. Which,
yeah,
right now, but like I said, carburetor is a whole different game.
Okay, so
this is fuel injected.
Yep.
And that modern fuel injected, it's not even a throttle body fuel injector, which is, well, I shouldn't call it throttle body fuel injector. Basically a glorified carburetor. It's a carburetor that's had fuel injection added to it.
What,
which
this
is one? No, that's what a lot of the first run fuel injectors, 70s, 80s, even some of the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those units are just basically the carbureted engine,
yeah,
with a modified carburetor. And a lot of times it's your modifications too, when you go and you add fuel injection. It's basically that fixture too. Okay, let's see, there's the clip, there we go.
Okay, so can I ask a crazy question?
Sure.
This is Krazy Karl's projects after all. What does that do?
That relays the throttle position to the sensor. So that tells you how much throttle you're giving it.
Okay, cool. And sorry for the bad camera angle. I almost dropped it.
And Napa part. And yes, these parts don't match exactly, but they are the same part. They're compatible.
Darn you, China. Or should I say Taiwan, since you're your own country and not China?
And I am rushing. As you see, I'm using a Leatherman. The electric, I've got about 30 minutes before it starts pouring rain. So,
yeah,
and that's why we didn't do a test drive, because I don't have time, and I've got to have this truck back because it's still my work vehicle. Because the Kia, I got the new master cylinder today, but it's still not in there, and I don't have enough time to get it in there.
No, not today. So that'll happen soonish. Which, by the way, if I haven't reminded you, please, if you enjoyed this content, like, share, and subscribe. And we do appreciate you.
And
we welcome you to the family.
Yes. If you don't enjoy it, find someone to torture it with.
Yes. After all, why should you suffer alone?
But fixing the coil has solved the problem, where the difference between this issue and the coil issue is the coil issue was engine would get hot, and either while you're going along at a constant RPM, every once in a while you'd either feel or hear kind of a miss in the engine. And on newer cars with better sensing stuff, a lot of times you'll get an error code for a misfire.
Yeah.
This one never showed any codes, so there was never any problems shown. Same with the throttle position sensor, it hadn't got so bad that it was shooting codes yet. So,
Okay.
but some of your older vehicles, the computer sensing stuff is something's got to be pretty bad for it to actually register that something's wrong.
All right. Yeah,
Everything looks good, seals look good.
Don't forget your magical grease.
I know, I'm gonna have to go grab it, but I'm gonna set that over for now, and I'll go grab that. And but yeah, as I was saying, with that you have misfire, and it will be through constant RPM, and it doesn't necessarily matter with the fuel. Although if you get on it heavy, you may have a backfire.
Yeah.
That's what it was doing before. After I replaced that, it ran good for a little bit. Then I got what I thought was some bad fuel. May have been actually some bad fuel, because it was also idling kind of rough. Ran that out, ran some cleaner through it, put a good tank of gas I knew was good, that was non-ethanol, and ran it through it. And then it ran a whole lot better, idled a whole lot better, and was good until you got past half throttle. And you got to about 2/3 throttle, and it'll start bucking because it's not getting proper air gas mixture.
Yeah.
So the engine's being starved, basically.
Okay.
And either being starved or being flooded.
Well, we can't have that. Well, we need to get your teetotaler engine the proper amount of fuel.
I'm going to go grab that. All right, well, this one is going to get greased later because I can't find it, which just has a good seal, so it's not a big deal. But
oh no,
still a good safeguard.
Krazy Karl did not use dielectric grease. This car's going to die.
I have no idea where it's gone to. It's missing, and I've only got about 5-10 minutes before it starts pouring rain. So
oh gee, in all your organized mess, you can't find something. I'm astonished.
see, this is why you keep 2 tubes. When you only have one, you have to find the one. If you have 2 of them, you have better odds of finding one of them.
Then 2 becomes 4, then 4 becomes 6, then 6 becomes 8, and before you know it, you got hoarders knocking on your door.
No, I had 2 for a little while. Then one got empty finally, and I've been just using the one. I bought this one when I couldn't find that one. So that'll probably happen again.
More than likely.
But it's in, it's done, it's set,
Okay.
and it should work. If you still have the problems, don't automatically think it's something different, because I've more than a few times gotten bad sensors. Once again, I went on and paid the extra and got a part that I'm more confident in, but doesn't mean it's not going to, you might not get a bad one.
Speaking of which, can we hear it run?
Yeah.
Let's close the lid. Can I close the lid?
Yep, close the lid. So that you don't get just engine noise.
I don't just get just engine noise like we did in the end of the last video. Not that anybody
you'll be
heard.
able to tell, because when I was revving it, it would stutter. And
Yeah.
that's why before, when I revved the engine after I started, that's why I revved the engine, because when that's going bad, even in the rev, you get past a certain point on the throttle and it will stop giving it gas.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
It was hanging up, even an idle going all the way down. So
Now it's not hanging up.
I'm also interested if that fixes the odometer, because the odometer would cut out when it gets warm.
Yeah.
And some of these older vehicles, you have weird things that go on when you have parts going bad. In GM vehicles, a lot of times it's the volume control. For some reason, if the throttle position sensor messes up, it messes up the volume control in your radio.
Those are in 90s GMs.
Yep. This is a 2004, so it still has some 99 features. Maybe that's something that they use, that if it's having power feed issues, it cuts off the power to the odometer. I don't know.
I'm just glad we heard all 3 of your horses in that.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it. We better get this done before it starts pouring rain and I'll ruin another microphone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have sat on this one. I sat on the last one. All right. Thank y'all, and y'all have a good one. And
I don't break the camera equipment.
Yet. All right.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one.
Yep.
So long.